Well, I want to make sure that we can hit on some big news that actually just happened before we started here on the air. Big news breaking on UPS within those last few minutes. So Frank Holland is going to join us now with the details. What's going on here, Frank? It looks like crisis averted.
It does appear like crisis averted. Certainly some big news. So shares of UPS at one point jumping 2% on the news of a tentative deal with the Teamster off those highs right now. Rival FedEx actually dipping into negative territory just fractionally after that news broke. So here's like the bones of this news. The deal prevents the 340,000 Teamsters workers at UPS from a potential strike that would have cost the U.S. economy an estimated $7 billion in just the first 10 days. The contract expires on July 31st. Teamsters would have had the option to strike on August 1st. But again, it appears that's been averted. I have to say appears right now, Courtney, because just yesterday we saw a tentative deal with the FedEx pilots. We thought there was a deal just last month. Both sides announced a tentative deal, and then it didn't work out. Certainly not as urgent as this one. However, I do want to point to the fact that both sides are now calling this a win-win agreement. This is a statement from Carol Tomei, the CEO of UPS. She says, this is a quote, "Together we reached a win-win agreement on the issues that are important to Teamsters, leadership, our employees, and to UPS and our customers. This agreement continues to reward UPS's full and part-time employees with industry-leading pay and benefits while retaining the flexibility we need to stay competitive, serve our customers, and keep our business strong." There was also a release from the Teamsters. Now, I want to point out, UPS says it can't confirm or deny these numbers. It says it can't talk about the financials of this deal until its earnings report coming up in August. But this is from the Teamsters on this tentative contract. They say $30 billion of new money throughout the length of the contract. Existing full and part-time workers get $2.75 more per hour this year. And then throughout the length of the contract, $7.50 per hour more over the length of the contract. And then this was a really big sticking point. Pay for part-time workers, they'll now be bumped up to $21 per hour. Teamsters also saying delivery drivers who are UPS Teamsters will get $49 per hour, industry-leading pay when it comes to that area. So some big developments when it comes to not only this contract being settled, operations not being disrupted, but also the cost of labor at UPS changing significantly if this deal is ratified.
Yeah, wow, those numbers are actually pretty eye-opening. $49 an hour is surprising to me.
It's a good job. I think both sides have agreed it's a good job. They had some questions about the long-term pay structure, the pay for part-time workers, and also working conditions, things like air conditioning in the summer, heat in the winter, some other things like that. But again, compensation was really the sticking point. It appeared it was going to come down the wire on the part-time pay. That's been resolved apparently with $21 per hour for part-time workers.
Wow, interesting stuff, Frank. Steph, you own UPS now that some of these numbers Frank has reported, if these end up to be true, as he points out, UPS is not going to really confirm them through earnings. How does it make you feel about holding on to this?
Yeah, I mean, it was an overhang on the stock. It's the reason the stock is up 8% and FedEx is up 47% year to date, right? It's lagged big time. So it's a removal of an overhang. That's number one. And then you got puts and takes from what I gather from Frank's great reporting. $6 billion a year. If that's in fact the number, people were expecting $5 billion a year, so it's a little bit higher. However, part-time workers at $21 an hour, people were expecting $25 an hour. So maybe it's a win-win on both sides.
Right.
But I just think more importantly, it is an overhang lifted. The stock is not expensive. In fact, FedEx is actually now more expensive than UPS, which has historically not ever been the case. So FedEx is a different story. New CEO, restructuring, I get that story. But UPS should play catch-up because demand is certainly still there.
I want to button up this conversation, but make sure to get Jason in because you own FedEx.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's Steph already just mentioned. I mean, the stock has been a really significant winner this year, up 47% this year, but last year was a very difficult year. So, for me, new CEO, new management team, focus on shareholder value. I think that's what's been playing out in the stock this year for FedEx.